I guess doing these short recommendation videos for animated series is going to be a semi-regular thing around here. Granted, there's another one of these I'm working on that's not going to be short at all and likely isn't going to be out for a while, but that's a talk for another time. Right now, it's the reboot of Disney's Ducktales, and for those of you who aren't already fans of what's been a regular feature on this channel, or are unfairly dismissive of it, Midnight Concho, there's no time like the present to discover what makes this thing well and truly great television for adults and kids alike. For those already in the know who have been subbed to me for a while, here's the deal. I'll tackle the final 4 episodes and possibly even some past episodes I haven't gotten to yet in my usual episodic style if there's enough interest expressed in the comments of this video and the poll which I'll be putting up after its release. If not, then sorry, but I don't think I have the time to dedicate to that if no one's gonna watch. So if you have any objections to this possibly being the last DuckTales video for a long while, speak now or forever hold your peace. I can imagine what you're thinking. Reboots are obnoxious, and Disney's track record with them leaves much to be desired, but this is no soulless cash grab. DuckTales 2017 is a product of pure love by hardcore fans of not just the 80s cartoon, but of the original Carl Barks Duck comics and of the entire 80s to 90s Disney Toon oeuvre. For those completely unawares to what I'm talking about, DuckTales is what I'd call quintessential adventure, in the way we don't often get in media of today's hyper-connected world. Scrooge McDuck and his tight-knit clan share the primary goal of going out into the world to explore, treasure hunt, experience all life's mysteries, and generally just have a good time. Granted, there's often just as much for them to do on the home front, but it's the show's predilection toward expedition that feels most unique, though the situations arising at McDuck Manor are no slouch. Frank Angones, Matt Youngberg, and the other many creative voices on the show don't just love the source material blindly. They see ways to iterate and improve upon it, and they seize each and every opportunity to do so. A prime example would be the characters at the center of the piece. To start with, Huey, Dewey, and Louie Duck were infamous for decades for basically being the same character copy-pasted 3 times. Cerberus from Helltaker had nothing on these guys. They were all one rambunctious little chaos gremlin split 3 ways, and Webby was their distaff counterpart with every dated little girl trope you could imagine. Compare that to now, where the triplets have not only lost their Uncle Donald's famous speech impediment, but all the kids are fully distinct, realized characters in their own right. Dewey is the goofy, risk-taking attention seeker, Huey is the brainy neurotic, and Louie is the lazy schemer, and also the best one. But all still believably brothers, and all allowed to have their layers and nuances explored thanks to the ingenious choice to have each season focus its central arc on a different triplet. Season 1 is Dewey's, 2 is Louie's, and 3 is Huey's, and the writers are really smart about ordering the episodes in such a way that none of the main cast feels lost or short-shrifted by one of the brothers taking over the season arc. Case in point, you got Webby. She has her own growth and character arcs woven throughout the show, and is insanely endearing and likable. I'd say she's the tertiary protagonist of Season 1, behind Dewey and Scrooge, and while she takes a relative backseat in the later seasons, she still gets some spectacular character work, as does her own little crew of supporting players. Really, that applies to the entire ensemble. Scrooge is always the ostensible lead alongside the triplets, and he is a deeply, deeply flawed man. Duck, whose tics, demons, and Achilles' heels are all explored both with comedy and genuine dramatic heft. Perpetual butt monkey Donald has a bigger and more meaty role than the original show ever afforded him, and this reboot goes all in with wringing as many feels as it can from the fact that he's ostensibly the triplet's single parent. We've got Webby's grandmother, Mrs. Beakley, packaged both with dry humor to spare, and the emotional toll it takes being the straight man amongst such outsized personalities. And for those who are much younger, or maybe just like their humor more blunt, there's the pea-brained but lion-hearted Launchpad McQuack, and everyone has secrets and compelling narratives unto themselves. Well, maybe Launchpad less so, but you know, he's there for fun. And that's just the main cast as of Season 1, not mentioning the numerous lovable, flawed, dynamic side characters, pivotal figures who show up later in the game and thus can't even be mentioned for fear of spoilers, and a gaggle of ludicrously fun villains. You know you've got a god-tier cast of characters when almost any of them could lead their own series. Heck yes, I'd watch a Darkwing Duck or Lena and Violet or Gizmo Duck spinoff, and so much of it is made by the voice cast. The absolute GOAT David Tennant slips into the role of Scrooge McDuck like he was born to play it, in a way that's completely different yet somehow complementary to the late great Alan Young's take.
Dancing lit up when the trap was sprung. I bet my bottom dollar it's the power source that runs the city.
It's just another work day, and any jackanapes who thinks else should be boiled in his own pudding.
Danny Pudi, Ben Schwartz, and Bobby Moynihan as Huey, Dewey, and Louie respectively get to play different degrees of funny, heroic, vulnerable children, as believably as men in their 30s can, anyway.
How old are you?
What's your net worth?
What's the deal with you and Uncle Dan?
Oh, is that fork real silver? Can I have it?
How come you never visit?
Oh, because you're so old and moving is so hard?
Lin-Manuel Miranda, Paul F. Tompkins, Jim Rash, Allison Janney, Kimiko Glenn, Catherine freaking Tate, man.
And then we shall return here and declare war against the day manager and all children with birthdays!
Screw the money bin, all the gold lies in these characters' throats. Craig Ferguson as the show's foremost and most recurring villain, Flintheart Glomgold, is a highlight among highlights though. The role of Glomgold honestly seems like it asks a lot more than anyone realizes, and Ferguson makes it all look easy.
Because I'm Flintheart Glomgold, and I always will be!
Something I don't hear mentioned a lot, this show has a really good score. The production as a whole is top tier. The music, the atmosphere, the integration of CG where necessary, but most especially the character animation, all contribute to this top-of-the-line quality. There's not a lot of explicitly Western cartoons I'd describe as having Sakuga moments, just specific animation cuts that are so fluid and complex it feels like they're just there to show off, but this show has them and this show flaunts them. It's an adventure series, so fun, inventive action is pretty much a weekly requirement. Not quite to the point that I'd describe it as an action show, but every episode is guaranteed to have something fun and flashy. The show's moral lessons and thematic ideas are this wonderful mix of subtle and unmissably explicit. Characters often learn clear lessons, as you'd expect figures in a kid's cartoon to do, made a point of in dialogue so you're sure no one misses it, but even then, those truisms often give way to ideas that you might not expect to see handled in a show like this. And the benefit of having such a large, nuanced cast is that it all feels natural, as everyone believably has different ways in which they have to grow. Man, I don't know what else to say. That this show is ending is a travesty, though I feel incredibly lucky to have gotten 60-odd episodes these past 4 years. As with the other shows I've made similar videos about, I recommend you waste no time and let this show take you for a ride. And come back after you've watched some and let me know what you think. It's one of the few shows in the past couple years I've bothered to actively keep up with on cable, and I'll be shocked if there's anyone who's open to watching it who doesn't find something to love. Here's hoping I'm right. Either way, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the future.